Well, the U.S. imposed tariffs are expected to hit some Canadian industries harder than others. We're now joined by Michael Dobner. He's a partner at PWC Canada. PWC has recently undertaken a survey of Canadian businesses, and some of the results are striking, and we'll get into those right now. Michael, thank you very much for joining us. Among those striking results, 19% of all respondents, these are respondents across all sectors, say they are considering moving production to the United States. Talk to us about that, Michael. And among automotive and manufacturers, the number jumps to 37%. So my first question is, are you confident in this survey data? Are you confident that these results are accurately taking the temperature and the mood of Canadian companies?
Yeah, those results actually are in line with what our hypothesis was and the anecdotal evidence from discussions. So the survey has just confirmed what we thought. This does not mean those people or those companies are moving tomorrow to the US, but definitely they consider that at least as a worst case scenario to move to the U.S. in order to avoid losing business.
Can you add some detail to that? You mentioned that they're not doing it tomorrow. Do you have any kind of time frame that was expressed, and what is a worst case scenario? That very steep tariffs from the United States are put in place and remain there permanently?
Permanently, for sure, but a long period of time. I would say the longer this goes on, and by the way, it doesn't need to be only tariffs. The uncertainty itself is creating, for some companies, an untenable situation. And therefore, if you combine the uncertainty with tariffs that go for a long period of time, some of those that are currently considering that will actually make it into a strategic decision.
What kind of uncertainty are you talking about? I mean, the uncertainty that we talk about most frequently these days is the tariff uncertainty. You seem to be pointing to another source of uncertainty. What is that?
There is uncertainty about the new global order that the current U.S. administration is trying to change, and what does this mean as far as U.S. engagement with the rest of the world, and U.S. engagement especially with Western countries. The U.S. is considering many steps that could affect Canadian economy and global economy. For example, they would be more reluctant to share technological know-how, cooperate on research, and I would like to have more control in their relationship with other countries. So all of that is bringing uncertainty to companies who don't know exactly what does this mean for them, and it could mean different things for different people.
15% of companies across all sectors said their viability could be threatened, and that number moves up to 24% of survey respondents from companies in the industrial, manufacturing, and automotive sectors. Talk to us about that finding.
Yeah, again, it's not a huge surprise, although I realize that the number could be a little bit frightening here. But and we've done quite a bit of studies of how integrated is the Canadian, at least the industrial one, and especially the automotive, integrated with U.S. supply chains and their dependence on the U.S. market is sometimes well over 90%, with not much ability at this point to pivot to other markets because in Canada, at least in the manufacturing sector, Canadian companies, usually their advantage is in lower manufacturing cost. But we don't hold in that sector much of the intellectual property. So our ability to pivot and diversify beyond the U.S. is quite limited in that sector.
Okay, how do companies deal with these threats?
So companies deal in various ways. You mentioned one of them already, and we discussed that, the potential of moving to some of their production or all of their production, depending on the case, to the U.S. That's one element. Other elements, and that's more prevalent now on a kind of a short-term basis, is looking into their supply chain and seeing where are the weak points in their supply chain, because as you know, the tariffs that will come will not only affect Canada. So if you're not hit directly by the tariffs, you might be hit indirectly or both. And so looking at other suppliers, is one strategy to deal with that. As I said, adjusting supply chain, looking at other suppliers, adjusting pricing strategies could be another one, and obviously exploring other markets, although I'm a little bit pessimistic about the ability, at least in the industrial sector, I'm not talking about other sector, to actually pivot quickly in that direction.
Some companies said in the survey, in the survey, that demand from Canada, from customers who are preferring to buy Canadian these days, is material, has made up for some of the losses that they might be experiencing or expect to experience elsewhere.
Yeah, so contrary to what I said on the other observation on this one, I was surprised, and I think others, my colleagues as well, we were surprised with how significant this move was there, and how it affected at least some companies in a very positive manner. Having said that, this is a positive move, and definitely will help some companies, but it's not a full solution for replacing U.S. demand for those products. So other solutions that are more robust will have to be developed.
Michael Dobner, thank you for this conversation. He's a partner at